Can you all see me?
Hi, how are
All
you?
right, hello. I'm at your disposal, so if we can get things started early, that helps everyone, I think.
Okay, great, perfect. Well, thank you for joining us today, Mr. Freedman. My name is Michaela Alioto Pier. I am your co-chair of the Endorsement Committee, along with Carrie Barnes. Member Lanier Cole will be taking the time. And what we're looking at, we've added 5 minutes to the Q&A section. I hope that's okay with you. We can always take it out if you don't want to do it, but we are going to offer that to our candidates. So right now, the general format is a 2-minute opening, followed by 16-minute Q&A, followed by a 2-minute close. And so with that, the clock will start as soon as you begin your opening. And we'd just like to welcome you here this morning and thank you very much for participating in the process with us.
All right, well, thank you all for having me. I know that many of you don't know me very well. I am the co-chair of a Democratic club and have been for 8 years off and on. That's the Home Chairs Democratic Club. We started that club actually, and that's what kind of fueled my interest in policy. Well, I wouldn't say it's an interest in politics. It drove a need to participate in politics because what we found was our leaders weren't listening to us as citizens. And by chartering a Democratic club, all of a sudden we got attention. We could get meetings with our board of supervisors. And that's actually one of the reasons I really feel I need to run for mayor. You shouldn't have to be a member of a political party or a member of a specific club or something that provides value to politicians in order to be heard. Our mayor is supposed to serve the entire city of San Francisco. That's all our citizens. That means Democrats, Republicans, Green Party, Independent. Every citizen of San Francisco should be served by the mayor. I don't feel that that's the case now. So I felt compelled to run for mayor here. A little bit about my background is I was born in Colorado. I'm a gay Jewish man, and Colorado, I grew up about a mile away from the exalted Cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan. It's a big word, but it was not a very welcoming place for someone like me. And I went through college in the closet as well, and I got a job opportunity out in San Francisco, and I thought, what a great place to try and really be who I am. And I felt a sense of belonging and welcomeness here. And this is why I think a lot of people are in San Francisco. We have a lot of diversity here. We celebrate diversity. And I think that we've lost some of that. So I want to bring those values back to San Francisco. I want to highlight them. And I want to make San Francisco a place that people want to visit and want to live.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that opening. It's nice to have the opportunity to get to know you. Um, as a candidate running for mayor, when you look at this city, what would be your main goals and objectives if you were elected? What do you think there are the biggest issues that we're grappling with right now, and how would you like to see or effectuate that change?
Homeless is really the biggest problem, and it's affecting everything else. So we can't bring tourists back until we solve our homeless problem. We can't bring businesses back until we solve our homeless problem. So my Rising Tide initiative, which is right there, the URL, that is, I think it's the only solution that any mayoral candidate is providing that can actually be effective. Shelter beds don't solve the problem. Allowing people to sleep 6 inches off the ground instead of on the ground is not a solution to the homeless problem. We need wraparound services, supportive housing, cost-effective solutions, and cruise ships effective. The short version is we're going to take retired cruise ships and turn them into homeless housing where people can get job placement training, drug rehabilitation, life skills training, and all the things you need to actually get your life back together. Part of the reason that none of our homeless stuff works now is because rehabilitation doesn't work if someone's situation hasn't changed. Job training doesn't work because employers typically aren't going to hire somebody that doesn't have a place to live. So, as an employer, I've actually hired homeless people and helped them find their way into house situations. And so I've done this, and I think this is a cost-effective way. The cost per unit is about 1/10 of what it costs us to build homeless housing. Beyond that, I want to finish answering your question. Beyond that, we need to get our businesses back and we need to fill our storefronts and we need to bring tourism back, which is one of our driving revenue sources in San Francisco. Again, you can't in order to do B and C, we have to get A done.
Great. Thank you very much, Co-Chair Barnes.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Keith. I read that you serve or have served on the SFPD Small Business Security Advisory Committee. And I also took note that you believe the police are handcuffed and are unable to do their jobs. And I'd like to hear why, and if elected, how you would resolve that.
Yeah, so we have a lot of policies, and our policies are a lot of things we do is in San Francisco are rooted in good places. So our policies are to try and reduce incidences of, you know, crime on behalf of the police, right? We don't have police brutality complaints that we have other places, but we also don't have arrests and convictions that other places have. So I think there's a delicate balance between policies that prevent the police from going too far and policies that actually handcuff the police. And I use that term because I talk to a lot of the police officers out there, and they really just feel like they're not allowed to do their job. Most people go into policing because they really actually want to protect and serve their communities. These aren't people who are just looking for a chance to wield a gun against some random stranger. These are people who really feel a passion for making the world safer, and we just don't let them do that. So I won't say that we should fire Chief Scott. I know I've met Chief Scott. I participated on the forum with him, and I don't think he's a bad guy also, like Mark said, but I'm a businessman. So I've had a small business in San Francisco for 8 years. I've been a consultant for 28 years. And the way to do this is you sit down with your employee that's not performing and you have a performance review and you put them on a performance improvement plan. And if they then don't perform, then you talk about, then you fire them. But I don't think that I don't know if Chief Scott is not, if his policies he's implementing are because those are his policies or those are in concert with the current mayor. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find out. And I believe that's the way to handle all of our city agencies that are underperforming. Put them on a performance improvement plan. And if they don't improve, then change leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Tong.
Hi, good morning, Keith. Nice to see you. Thanks for participating in our interview process. I'm asking all the mayoral candidates a question about our form of voting in San Francisco, which is ranked choice voting. I wanted to know what your feelings on ranked choice voting were. Do you think it's good, bad? Does it disenfranchise voters? And would you be open to reform of that voting process?
I'm open to reform of any process, including our voting process. We have, I'm a computer technology person, and in the technology sector, you iterate and you improve. That's how you're supposed to be doing things. And our government seems to choose something and then just stubbornly stick to it for, absent any evidence to the contrary. There's approval voting. There's a few other different kinds of voting mechanisms that might save us the costs and expense of runoff elections. That's the main benefit financially of ranked choice voting, is that it saves people from having to vote a second time, but it does disenfranchise people. In a way, it can help someone like me who's an underdog. If I can get enough first choice votes and enough second choice votes, if I get enough first choice votes to survive and enough second choice votes to win, I can end up winning this election. It would help a lot if I had your endorsement. So keep that in mind. But yes, there's a lot of other things we should do, we should be looking into. Just because we have one, we have to use it for this election, but it doesn't mean we have to use it for the next election.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Member Nguyen.
Hi, good morning, and thanks, co-chairs. And hi, Keith, good to see you again. And my question, I was reading through your endorsement questionnaire, and you mentioned your position on technology and its use, including cameras and drones and policing San Francisco. Can you talk more about that? I'm a fellow computer scientist. I am a technologist as a patent lawyer. I'm curious around how do you balance folks' needs for privacy, or is there a sense of privacy, and kind of using technology for policing purposes?
Well, these are discussions we have to have as a community. So yes, I believe in using technology for all aspects of life that can provide benefit, policing included. I think that we can look at what other cities are doing that have technology and see where it's working and where it isn't working, so we can do a better job than them. But also, we should be innovating. We're the heart of Silicon Valley. We should be the ones that are trying things first. We build a lot of this technology around here. We should be using it, but we can use it in a measured way. So if facial recognition is proven to be flawed, we can still do some facial recognition, but maybe we don't use that as aggressively. But it can lead you in the right direction. It can help policing. My warehouse was burglarized in February, and fortunately, I had hours of footage from all my various different cameras, and that actually helped the police identify a suspect. We were able to pull we didn't use facial recognition software. People individually looked at the faces in the video and were able to identify a suspect who's now in jail. So, saying we shouldn't use technology isn't the right approach. Figuring out how to make technology work better, and when the technology fails, we should stop using it, but we shouldn't stop using it because we don't know how to use it and we're not well trained to use it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I guess the question more was balancing privacy.
Oh, yes. On the privacy side, I think even I like my privacy too, but in the United States, you don't have an expectation of privacy in public spaces. And if you're using public spaces to commit crimes, people are driving away with their stolen goods on our roadways. I think we have every right as citizens to make sure that our public spaces are safe, and there's just no expectation of privacy. London has nearly every square footage of public space in London is on CCTV, and they have much, much, much more effective crime fighting. And people there don't feel like their privacy is being invaded. Some of that comes to policy. If we find that our police are doing something inappropriate with footage that they have access to, we can address that.
Thank you. Great. So talking a little bit about public safety, let's sort of switch and move into neighborhood commercial districts. The economy is a big part of obviously San Francisco's health, and COVID, some of our small businesses really took it hard during COVID. Do you have any thoughts on how we might be able to generate more activity in our neighborhood commercial districts and fill the vacancies that have been left?
Yeah, so when the pandemic started, I was on the Council of District Merchants Associations, and we were struggling with the new mandates that came out. I'm on the board of the South Market Business Association, and SOMA has been fairly devastated. I'm also a member of the Castro Merchants Association. That's for my short-term rental businesses. And I think it's hard to say what I think will work. What isn't working is pretending to have things like vacant storefront legislation that's not effective. I'm a carrot person instead of a stick person. We need to incentivize people with opening businesses. We need to make it faster and easier to open businesses. There's a new pizza shop that just opened up in the Castro. It used to be a food service venue. It took them 7 months to get all the permitting to sell food in a place that used to sell food. It makes no sense to me. And they had to pay rent for 7 months while they were not in business making money. So this is what we can do to get our storefronts open, is we can streamline the permitting process. We can do all the things that our current mayor claims that she's doing but isn't doing. We need to actually do these things. People need actionable results. And we need a real first year free program. And we need to, if we need to subsidize businesses to get them open while it's the city's fault that they're not able to get permits because our permitting process is slow, maybe we need to look into that. But we need to make it cost effective and quick for people to open businesses, then they'll do it.
Great, thank you. What about your thoughts on housing in San Francisco, and where might we be able to build more? Is it an issue that you think is important? Can it impact the downtown corridor? I know those are sort of three random things, but your general thoughts on housing.
They're general and related at the same time.
Yeah.
I support a uniform planning code, and so each of our districts, or neighborhoods more, because the neighborhoods span districts, should have a planning code that's appropriate for that part of the city. We want to maintain our unique characters of all of our neighborhoods in the city, but we can go up. For example, the west side, we can double and maybe even triple heights without impacting quality of life there. In fact, we'd be improving quality of life because the higher density will keep businesses open. The west side's lost a lot of businesses simply because there just aren't enough people left to keep to go to a restaurant enough times for them to make money to pay rent. I don't want a Manhattanization of San Francisco, but I do like our downtown big, tall high rises. Tourists really love them too. They like being able to walk around and see these big buildings and then walk into another neighborhood and see something very quaint. So I think we can do that, and we can increase housing across the city. It's every San Franciscan's responsibility to bear the burden of the additional housing requirements. But the real thing is we have to incentivize builders to invest here, and the holding costs and the costs of construction here are way too high. So we have to streamline all of our DBI and planning and make it. You have to be able to build something in 24 months instead of 3 to 5 years.
And what about downtown? I mean, downtown itself, we've never really viewed it as a neighborhood commercial district, but there are conversations about converting some of the buildings, the office buildings downtown into housing. Do you have any thoughts on that? And Union Square too, that's come up as well.
Yeah, again, we have to be adaptive. We don't need as much business square footage anymore because the businesses have changed. People aren't going into the office full time. Businesses don't need as much commercial space. So I don't necessarily approve of just converting a giant office tower into housing. I like a hybrid approach. I'd like to see housing on the top half and commercial, businesses on the bottom half. And that way you get a little bit of both. It extends the money earning potential for businesses. Right now, businesses downtown near places that do have activity, their earning potential is maybe 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. But if you do a mixed use thing and we have business and residential, suddenly those restaurants now can earn money up till 11 p.m. And now we have viable businesses that can stay open. When you can only have a third of the day to earn your rent, you have to charge much higher prices. So I think we'll see prices actually come down if we can give businesses longer hours where they're earning money. So that's my approach to downtown, is kind of a mixed use, live commercial and residential.
Great. So our last question will be from Controller Cohen.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you. My question is actually more of a tactile question. I'd like to know if you could tell me with great detail your pathway forward. How do you plan to win this mayoral race that is highly contested?
That's a good question. So, and I'm a first-time candidate for mayor, and I think that actually benefits me a lot. I think that the people in San Francisco are a little fed up with the current leadership, and they're just ready for something new. They chose a new DCCC leadership because they want change, and I think that change actually extends all the way into City Hall. I'll be surprised if many of the incumbents get reelected. So
what's your plan? Do you have a ranked choice plan?
To be honest with you,
fundraising plan?
Well, I need money. That's why I have my QR code right here. So anyone watching this, feel free to toss 150 bucks in there. That'll help. But this endorsement will help too, right? So I didn't have the 1 year head start that London had to go collect endorsements. But what I'm going out and I'm meeting people. I'm meeting the press. I'm doing everything I can to try and get my name out there. I'm meeting with organizations like this so it really comes down to fundraising. The debate invitations tend to be tied to fundraising. And so that's really my priority now, is to get the fundraising so that I can get the proper press attention. After that, it's going out into the community and meeting.
So your decision to run, was it like a last minute decision, or it sounds like it wasn't part of a long-term plan for you?
I've been working on it since November, and I was struggling to find a campaign committee consultant, and the consultants in San Francisco aren't interested because I didn't come to them with money, and I don't have the money to buy my seat at the table. I have to earn it. So my consultants are actually out of Colorado, where I'm born, and I have family there, and so those are where my consultants come from. So they're less expensive and they do good work. But yes, so it wasn't a last minute thing. It was just it took a lot longer for me to get down that road than other people.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Freedman. Now you have your concluding remarks. You have about a minute and a half.
All right. Well, so to reiterate, I really think that the reason that this particular DCCC contingent was chosen by the Democrats of San Francisco is because they were fed up with the previous leadership, and I think that does go all the way up to the mayor's office. I think that endorsing a incumbent or someone who's currently holding office would disappoint them, to be honest with you. So I think they're ready for something new. I have 28-year track record, even though Mark likes to say he's the only one with private sector experience. I'm the one with the most private sector experience. I'm working on board of the Tourism Improvement District Board, trying to improve our tourism and our reputation around the world. And I have good business practices that I can bring to the mayor's office. Fiscal responsibility while also being compassionate and caring.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Freedman. It was really nice to get to know you and to hear what you had to say, and we really appreciate you being a part of the process.
Thank you all for having me.
Best of luck.
Thank you.